Hey, how you doing? Thought I'd go live today just to see if anybody wanted to ask any live questions about the Anycubic Cobra Max, if there's any questions about the firmware, the Cura profiles and stuff like that. I know I put a lot out there on the videos that I put out, but it'd be nice just to maybe catch up with some of my followers, see if there's anything that I can do to help out. Not to say I can answer all of those questions, but I could probably point you in the right direction, that is. Hopefully everybody's all right tonight. I am going to invest in a better camera. The quality of this is not that great, and I've got a couple of big lives coming up this week that hopefully you guys will be able to catch up with. If anyone following is currently using the Zombie 3D firmware, is there any questions about that you're having any struggles, or is there any concerns about certain noises that you might be hearing? Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate the comments. Yeah, it's taking time. It's all new to me, to be fair, the YouTube scene. So I've always liked enjoying 3D printing, and my job actually that I do on a normal day-to-day basis requires me to do a lot of demos and a lot of training packages and stuff like that. So it's just bringing it back into like my own hobbies and stuff like that. So I know a lot of people that buy 3D printers don't always know, the finer details. And I know we've got a lot of Facebook groups that we use, but sometimes people's problems or issues that they seem to be struggling with seem to be a common issue across like all of the forums that we're on. Or so sometimes it's good to have like a video up on YouTube that cuts away all the scrolling through numerous amount of comments and emails, and not everyone in the Facebook groups are that welcoming when it comes to answering a question that's possibly been asked several hundred times sometimes. But I'm quite patient with people, but rather than having to repeat myself verbally or commenting on replying to people's Facebook comments, I just think sometimes sticking out a video. I've got other printers that I've reviewed on my channel. A lot of them have been sent over by someone that I work alongside with, like in terms of reviewing, but it's very few in between because obviously other people's priorities and stuff. But yeah, what has been sent over, they've only been brief reviews, so just one-off unboxings and builds and sort of first thoughts. But they're ongoing. This is my Cobra Max, so I haven't done any sort of upgrades to it as such. Firmware, yes, I get that from Will Zobkov. So I've had a lot of contact with him from the very start of my YouTube, and he gave me a lot of pointers. His channel's amazing. If you haven't checked him out already, Studio Zombie 3D, brilliant channel for anything to do with Anycubic. A lot of his stuff is commonly used. Right, okay, yeah, resin printing, yeah. To be fair, that's not really my forte. I do really want to sort of master resin printing, to be fair. I just think the quality of that is absolutely amazing, especially with some of the new resin printers that are coming out. Yeah, it's truly amazing. I had a review of a Anycubic Mona X, but I had to send that back due to various reasons, but that was pretty cool. Yeah, Honey Badger 3D. Yeah, James. And yeah, I've been invited along to a couple of his lives, actually. Don't always have a lot to say in there for myself because obviously I'm more watching it and learning the actual program of like being involved in these chats. I don't like to sort of overly butt in on like their live unboxings and stuff. So normally I do my unboxings pre-recorded, so and then I post them out on the web. So lives aren't normally it's a bit uncomfortable for doing the lives, because if you don't really know what you're talking about and someone asks a question, I'm a firm believer. I only answer a question if you know the answer, especially with 3D printing and working on these machines. The simplest of mistakes for someone could potentially damage their printer. And ultimately, I love my Cobra Max. I love the Anycubic Cobra brand. Obviously, I think all of those launches have been amazing. There's some issues with them, to be fair. Yeah, so I'm not overly sure about those. But yeah, so I think it's important not to go too far into how much detail you give someone. Let me read some of these comments. No, that's great, PC Master Race. I'm glad that a lot of my videos have helped. Like I say, it helps me. So sometimes when I'm actually doing these videos, I haven't even put any thought into it. I haven't scripted. You know, that's why you'll probably get some mistakes in the way I talk. Sometimes it's quite raw. My channel is simply for the most intermediate 3D printers. So you're not gonna get answers in terms of, oh, I can make it run a million times better, but I'll give you the best baseline that you can work with, so that you can all get on and enjoy this machine, or any 3D printers for that fact. I think it's really important that we all enjoy it. We take the time, we share. The community is about sharing. There's a lot of bad apples out there, so be very careful and don't be downhearted if you find that someone answers in a way that you think, oh, okay, well, I don't like this community. The community as a whole, the 3D printing community as a whole, is brilliant. I found a lot of good friends through the 3D printing community, and my delivery of the videos is really to make sure that you guys get the best out of it as possible. So yeah, let's check some of these. That's okay, Danny. No problems. I appreciate your feedback. It's always good to, whenever I share my profiles or any updates, it's sometimes, you know, I might have resolved an issue for someone and it saved you some time and head scratching. But yeah, I don't want it to be, it'd be nice to hear back from people, but obviously without having that channel, I'm thinking of opening up a Facebook group. Quite a few people that I follow have done so, even if it's not for any particular reason, just to hear some feedback from people. Is there a different delivery message that they want in my videos? Is there anything I could do better with? I'm here simply to make you guys enjoy your printer more. So yeah. I appreciate that, PC Master Race. Yeah, I know quite a lot about 3D printers. I think everyone's got a place in the 3D world. You've got the designers, you've got the tinkerers, you've got the intermediates, the medium skilled people, and then you've got the advanced users. I think if you have people that don't know what they're doing and loads of people that do know what they're doing, that's not a good mix. You want a fine line of people. You want the designers, and that way, if you've got a good balance of people, I think 3D printing is a great thing. Like I say, I've got quite a few machines. Currently, I'm printing a Cinder Wing Christmas dragon, so that's what's running on there, time lapsing. So it would normally take 7 hours to print this, but it's taking about 10 hours due to the time lapsing. It moves the bed forward, takes a picture and takes it back. If you haven't seen my video on the Minion camera, I definitely think you should purchase that, especially during the sales. I think I had some emails the other day saying that they've got some good discounts going. The Minion camera was really easy to set up. I think it took me no more than 15-20 minutes. Got a lot of my settings from Studio Zombie 3D. Check his video. If anything that you don't get from my channel, in terms of the Anycubic Cobra brand, definitely go over to him, because he brings some amazing stuff, and a lot of my channel is based on the intermediate level of what he delivers. His message is brilliant. So Toxic Vision, yeah. The only thing I've noticed with this firmware, which I did say, I don't want to sort of go over it, but anyone who hasn't seen the video, I found that it was a bit weird when once I'd done the flash. So the flashing of the firmware is super easy. Make sure your memory card is completely blank, and once you're finished flashing it onto the printer itself, make sure that you take off that bin file, because otherwise, I actually did it myself. I sliced some files, put it back in there. I'd redone my E-steps, because you got to remember, whenever you flash your firmware, is going to take it back to a base level. So that Studio Zombie 3D firmware is a derogative of like the Anycubic firmware itself, but with the tweaks that he's incorporated into it, which is the Z height and stuff like that. I think for me, the leveling was actually the most important part of the firmware. I know people are looking for filament changes. I think that's a good thing. Something like this sort of print size, people are going to be printing bigger items rather than smaller items that need to change colors. I think if someone gets that, that would be great. I would like that. But yeah, the other thing I've noticed was some sounds on the actual on some of the motors. It's sort of slightly more aggressive. I don't know if anyone else has seen that. At first I thought, oh, okay, one of the wheels is going on the actual nozzle itself, but yeah, it isn't. It's actually, speaking to Will, he said that yeah, it's kind of because of the motors changing, but he's going to bring something out to go into detail on how you can change that. I think it's something to do with the voltage on this. Like I say, once again, intermediate level, I absolutely have zero idea about the electrical side of it. But he's got a group now on Facebook. Reach out to him. He's going to be happy to talk about the firmware. He mentioned to me that he was going to bring that and open it up, and he has, which is great, because a lot of the questions that were being asked were either through me, through other people, and that information was being filtered back to him, and then he would give us an answer and then deliver the message to everyone that was asking. I think it's better to have a centralized place, which he's done. So Studio Zombie 3D on Facebook. Check him out. Let's check some of these questions. Appreciate that. Kane does printing now. Yeah, I watched channels like mine. Obviously, the guys that I watch have a lot more opportunities in terms of being sent printers to review. I haven't been sent a printer to review by any of the printing brands, so any of these big printing companies at all. I've not had anything sent to me. My Cobra Max I bought myself. My laser cutter I bought myself, and all of the other printers I've got just behind me, and my resin printer, which is just here, which is actually a Anycubic Photon OG, so the original. Still does a great job. Still great, but in terms of the size, not that great. But like I say, never been sent anything by companies, but that hasn't stopped me from bringing the message to everyone and just sharing any issues. It's something simple as at the top, you've got like some bearings at the top of the Z rods. There's like a plastic cap. I'm kind of pointing. There's a plastic cap that covers up on both sides of the Z rod. That plastic cap was laying on my bed one day, and I was like, okay, where did that come from? It was mid-print. I didn't want to stop it. It was quite an important print. And then sort of because of my shelf, I couldn't actually see it properly. But yeah, I managed to locate it. That pops off sometimes, so keep an eye on that. That does come off. Somebody mentioned to put some sellotape. That's what I did. Just some black electrical tape, just holds it. looks all right there. Let me get some of these questions answered. And, with the Cobra Max, how much force is on the nozzle during leveling? We use Diamondbacks, but I ordered a micro Swiss for it because I don't like the idea of jamming the diamond into the glass. Yeah. I don't think it actually physically, well, it does physically touch it, but I think it's so minute, the actual touch on it. It depends really. If it damages your bed, it's probably something to do with the actual leveling sensor itself, but I can't answer for sure as to how much force is put on that. I don't, on some of the printers that I've worked on, you see the bed physically move down, but that was back in the day of like manual leveling, would push down. So you haven't got the sensor. I think the sensor acts in the same way. But I think once it touches it, it triggers a sensor. It pretty much does it instantaneously. If it doesn't, then you might want to make sure your sensor's okay on the actual board. You've got like a little light you'll see just between the fins of the fan at the front, the shroud. You'll see a little red light trigger. That's normally the sensor that tells you. What I've done when I've done some of my videos is I've tried to look into how it actually works. Let me answer this other question. That's why you will give the benefit. Yeah. A lot of the channels that I've watched in the past, I do have questions as to whether, because they've been sent it to review, whether they're actually acting on behalf of the company or are they acting on behalf of the purchaser. Obviously there's a bit of a conflict there. If you've got you don't want to sort of sever a relationship with the distributor of the machine, but ultimately if you want your channel to be authentic, I think it's important to actually deliver the message that people are going to take and actually agree to. I would never ever review something on my channel and then give a false review ever. Even if I was sent it for free to review, no. I think it's damaging to my channel, but also damage to the fact that there's not, people are suffering nowadays in terms of finances. Not everyone's got spare cash. I know I can't readily go out and buy printers just off the drop of a hat. I save up sometimes, and they're like a pride and joy to me. It's a hobby. I look forward to buying something. So if I'm going to buy it and somebody's given me some advice on that, I would hope to think that it was genuine advice and not sort of like paid for advice. I think that's the worst kind of reviewing, if I'm honest. Like I say, my channel is very raw. It's very intermediate. I don't know everything. I know a little, and I know enough to get myself going and share it with others. That's why I deliver the message in the way that I do. A lot of my videos will start to grow, but I won't change my ethos in how I deliver that message. I might buy a better camera and a better sound system and some more lights and stuff like that, but that won't change my ethos. I will always deliver the message to make sure you guys are getting the answers that you deserve. Waiting for Cobra Max to come tomorrow. Can you give any advice before your first print? My advice to you, and like anyone else who's got the Cobra Max, is don't skip the and now some people might not agree. Everybody's each to their own, but my advice to you coming from my channel would be don't skip the ALGE code. You don't want to go straight in and slice your own models and go straight in on the bed. There's several reasons for that. First of all, you want to see how your print has been sent to you. Second of all, if there's an issue with their G code that they've uploaded and the printers, the actual OWL looks not so great, then there's an issue with the printer. But if it's perfect, the printer's set up ready to go, you haven't got any Z wobble, the layer lines look fine. They've tweaked that OWL to the point of perfection. So that's the reason why they give you, it's like a way of calibrating without physically calibrating. You're calibrating what you've received is what you want it to work as. Then you can go backwards. Once you've got your owl, take a nice photo of it. You can either put it on a shelf like I do, or just put it in the bin or give it away, whatever you want to do. But you know that you can't blame the machine and say, oh, the machine's not working, because if you can get a perfect owl, you can get a perfect owl somehow later on down the line. It's just about getting the perfect profile. There are a lot of profiles. You can always access mine. Check out one of my videos, my Linktree, which is 3DP UK Linktree, and Zombie 3D. Now, a lot of my profiles were built upon what Will sent over to me, but I tweaked it to my machine. Remember, though, my advice is any profile that is sent to you to use on your machine isn't 100% going to work for you. You will need to change temperatures. You will need to change retractions, speeds. You'll need to change temperatures of the bed, the nozzle. It's your environment. So I'm in the UK. So right now it's quite cold, but 2 or 3 months ago it was really warm. Hence why I've got the heater on. It's all different environmental factors and stuff like that you need to take in consideration. Also, when you do receive your Anycubic Cobra Max, make sure that you check every single part of that machine. Check all of the bolts. Don't just read the instructions and say, oh, it's only 4 bolts. Straight up, I can crack on printing. It's not how fast you print, it's get the best results. So check all of your bolts throughout the whole of the machine, in the top, in the sides. Remember, they're put in a factory, and if you're whacking out loads, if they're whacking out loads of printers like they will do, especially during the sales, it only takes a few minutes for someone to not tighten a certain bolt up, and that can give you Z wobble. You can get loads of issues with like layer lines and stuff like that. And yeah, also make sure that you cut every single cable tie. There's some huge cable ties underneath the bed, on the eccentric nuts, and on the wheels. There's one on the actual filling head, and I also remember there being a foam which was wedged in. I've seen some people say that they'd forgotten to take that off. I'm not sure how you would do that, but easily done. And yeah, also you've got 2 Z limit switches, 2 Z motors on this. Make sure that you don't pinch one of your motor cables, which is easily done. I've seen that, and I actually did that on the Cobra Plus. I pinched a wire underneath the frame, and I was thinking, right, okay, why is it keeps going into error message? That's why. Any other advice on that? Just enjoy it, slow down, don't rush into it. It's not how quick you can print, it's the best results. Let me get through some of these other questions. Anyone BQH2 on the Cobra match? I've not seen that. Is it Jarek? Jazik? Sorry, I can't always spell. I apologise for that. No, I'm glad that you're having success, Country at Heart Finlay. I appreciate the feedback. I really do. I'm glad that you're getting some good projects out. The Cobra Max is good. I've got a lot of good results from the Cobra Max. I mean, I know a lot of people haven't as well, but you know, there's so many factors around that. So many factors. I don't like that these big 3D printing companies tell you, oh, you can set it up in 10 minutes and you're away printing. I think that's very misleading. Yes, they are right in that respect, that you can set it up in 15 minutes. But it's taken it's very dangerous for someone who's very intermediate to 3D printing or very new to 3D printing. If you deliver that message and that's read wrong, it's a recipe for disaster in my eyes. Nothing is simple. 3D printing there's a lot of changes that you need to make, stuff like that. A question that was raised on Facebook today, which is why I went live actually. I didn't want to do a video on it because I think a 5-minute video is a bit of a waste of time for everyone. On the bed itself, you have eccentric nuts underneath. So this is to allow the bed to move backwards and forwards smoothly, so you're not got any wobble. that bed needs to be as secure as possible. There are actually, it's a bit, so in one of my videos I said that there's only 6 eccentric nuts, so you've got 3 fixed on one side, 3 on another. It's actually 3 fixed on one side and then 3 eccentric, and then on the other side there's actually 6 eccentric nuts. So there's 9 in total underneath the bed. So one of my videos was incorrect. I said there were 6 of fixed and 6 eccentric nuts. That's incorrect. So that's a correction of one of my videos. So that just goes to show I too make mistakes. Yeah, when you're doing the bed underneath, you want to loosen, for the very first time, you want to loosen all 9, now I'm getting it right, all 9 eccentric nuts, and straighten up your bed square. And the way to do that is to move the bed fully back, measure it from the frame to the edge of the bed, and then move it gently forwards, measure it, make sure that you've got it spot on, and then tighten up your eccentric nuts. Try not to move the bed, and then move it backwards and forwards and make sure it moves smoothly and you've got no drag. That's how I managed to get my bed perfect, and I've not had any Z wobble. I've not had any issues at all. Let me get through some of these other messages. I appreciate your time, everyone. Like I say, very new to a live, never done this before, so if I'm a bit unsure of what to say and how to act, I apologize. Do I have a website yet? No, but one thing I will add, I'm not on a website for my own 3DP UK. I will be creating a group, but it's just to really deliver messages to people if there's anyone wants to ask me directly. But what I will say is check out on Facebook if you're on there. Check out Under the Hot End, the OOF website. Under the Hot End is done by Martin Hanshaw, Carl Fenton, Matt Anders, and there's Alan as well, Mechanics. They're the guys that have really welcomed me into their group. So, and I'm part of their group now. We have a website, loads of special deals on there from loads of different filament brands, loads of resin brands. Go check them out. Join up to their Facebook page. Great bunch of lads there. The other thing that I wanted to mention was, if you haven't seen his videos already, The Real Sam Prentice, now very good friends with him. I probably quoted him a lot in a lot of my review videos. The guy is an absolute legend. He sent over a few video printers for me to review, and then obviously I had to send them back. But without his interaction, his support, my channel wouldn't have grown as quickly as it has. It's only 7 months old, and I've already hit 1.1 thousand subscribers, so I appreciate that. And hopefully more coming, and the content will get better. Yeah, you will find that 3D printing is a bit of a head scratch sometimes. I do appreciate that. Even with all my knowledge on 3D printing and stuff, I sometimes sit there and think, oh, do you know what? The best form is reach out, ask a question, don't struggle, watch YouTube, check out Facebook groups, and sometimes you could be reinventing that wheel. Don't reinvent it. Be careful who you ask that question of. If they don't look like they want to answer it, don't spend all day battling with them, trying to get them to be more friendly. Like I said earlier in the stream, it's not worth it. I've been there, tried that. There's always a bad apple somewhere, not wanting to support you. And like I say, I appreciate that. Country at Heart, Finlay, looking forward to my videos. Thanks. I appreciate that. I've got nothing coming up in the next week. I've got a live stream coming up on Wednesday, I believe, with a major brand. I don't want to sort of reveal too much on that, but I'll probably say something nearer the time on my channel. But yeah, check them out. It'll be a live show. Yeah. If there's any other questions around the Anycubic Cobra Max, or just anything that you would like me to say more in the channel, feel free to say. If there's any questions outside of like the Cobra Max or Pro firmwares and stuff like that, feel free to ask. I'm going to probably run for another 5 or 10 minutes and then shut off, and I'll try and do this a bit more frequently and maybe have a bit more content to actually discuss. Like I say, I appreciate everyone that follows me and the time you take to view it and like and subscribe and comment on any of my videos and even chat here. I appreciate everyone. So if anyone's got any projects they're working on, drop it in the chat. You know, I'm thinking of doing, once I've done this print over here, I'm actually thinking of doing the FIFA World Cup trophy. I think it would be quite funny to do. I appreciate that, Country at Heart Finlay. Have a great time. Thanks for coming along to the live. I appreciate you. Take care. Have a good rest of the weekend. If you have installed the new firmware, the Studio Zombie 3D firmware onto your Cobra Max, like I said in the video, you'll be able to now do 0.01 Z height, so which is good, because the 0.05 never did me any harm. To be fair, I was one of the very fortunate ones that it would never affect my prints. I always have perfect layers and first layers and adhesion. But a lot of people needed just that 0.01 to be able to just fine tune it. So now that this firmware is out, it's made it so much better. I think I'm running at 0.07 now, which if I went to 0.10, it used to bump me out and I'd sort of get some poor prints. And then if you go too low, you start scratching and knocking the print. But yeah, so the 0.01, sorry, is so much better. The only thing I'm not too keen on with the firmware as it stands right now is that you don't see the changes. So you sort of think, okay, it's not worked, but it does work. Like I said in my video, 0.01, if you go up to 0.02, press the plus sign and then press OK, come out of it. And this is mid-print as well. Go back into it, Z offset, and then you'll see that it's changed. Don't press that plus sign trying to get it. It will go up as many times as you press it. So like I say, if it's a 0.05 and you press it 3 or 4 times, it's going to go to 9 or 8, whichever amount. So be very careful. These are mistakes that I made following the firmware update. Just press it once, check it. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, it's gone to 0.06. Okay. So it does it, but it doesn't show it unless you click OK, go back out of the screen, mid-print, and then go back into your settings, Z offset, check it, and it would have updated. This is going to be changed very soon from what Will at Studio Zombie 3D has told me. It's something to do with the screen as well. So maybe the firmware needs to be updated on the screen. I know he's looking into that. But like I say, head over to his channel, head over to his Facebook group. Top guy he is. He's got a lot of time for everyone. And I've got a lot of time for Will as well. You know, the stuff that he brings to the community is absolutely fantastic. And I know speaking to him yesterday and today, he's got lots more great projects coming up and a lot more reviews coming up. So definitely check him out. Obviously, don't forget me. You're going to learn something from me. It might not be as in depth as people like that, and Sam. But yeah. So if anyone here has updated the firmware to the Studio Zombie 3D, is there any issues that you are concerned about? Any worries? If, like I say, if I can't answer it in this live stream, I can take it to Will and try and get you that message back in the next live stream. More than happy to ask a question. Okay, so PC Master Race, is it the first time you've got a Cobra Max? Am I right in thinking that it's the first time you would have bought one? Okay, right. Yeah, I would say if it's the first time you've got the Cobra Max, maybe just oh, okay, yeah, cool. With the Cobra Max, when it arrives tomorrow, don't go straight in on the firmware update. You obviously do whatever you think that you would prefer to do, but my opinion would be maybe run for a few weeks with the Anycubic firmware, get an idea of how it works. You might find, I mean, with the firmware update that I've done on my Cobra Max, I probably could have got away with not doing it, if I'm honest. I've gone from one firmware, the stock firmware to the zombie firmware, and realistically, not a lot has changed for me apart from the fact that I can do 0.01 Z offset. But I didn't really have a lot of issues before. So it was an improvement, but not enough for it to be noticeable for me. My advice would be when you get your Cobra Max, run for a couple of weeks, maybe at the stock firmware, get used to its quirks. You might find an issue there. If you go whacking the firmware on straight away, you don't know if it's something that you've done or whether they've sent you a printer that's not quite spot on. Can't always blame the firmware. It could be a motherboard issue. It could be a mechanical issue. It could be issues with so many different variants of things on there. Like I say, my advice would don't change it until you're 100% sure that it's going to improve it. If you get spot on print straight away, there's not enough changes on this firmware for it to be like really noticeable. Obviously, as now the firmware is out and it's been released by Anycubic, obviously there's going to be a lot of people out there tinkering with that firmware, and there may even be better ones coming up, even from Will himself. But like I say, totally up to you. I'm impartial to anyone trying, as there's no right way and no wrong way. I just think I'm just a bit of a believer in maybe just taking your time with it. It's like I say, totally up to you guys how you take on your printers. I would probably go for the firmware update, knowing me. Yeah, I think I'm quite impatient when it comes to. So if I know there's a new firmware up there and it's got the slightest improvement, I would probably get my Cobra Max turn up and think, oh no, I know I shouldn't do it that way. I should run it for a few weeks. But I'm a bit of a keen tinkerer. I tinker sometimes to the point where I think, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Most important thing is if you do find that it's not quite right, take it back to the current firmware on there. You can get that from the Anycubic Cobra website. They've got the original on there anyway. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I get that. The 0.01 is definitely the best firmware update on that. I'm not quite sure why they didn't have that on there in the first place. I just don't get why they didn't just trigger that. The 0.05 is neither here nor there. I just feel like it's a minimal change, but there's so much that can impact your print just by going from 0.05 to 0.01. 1.0. It's just like, but now they've released it, people can start making changes, which is awesome. So I'm guessing, have you got PC Master Race? Have you got a large printer like this anyway, or is this the biggest printer you're going to have in your possession? Because when I received mine, I was pretty shocked on how big it was. Yeah, I had to sort of change my shelving slightly wider, and then I had to try and fit it under the shelving. So it's a beast, but it does an amazing job, especially for printing helmets and, you know, larger items. I think it's brilliant. Yeah, definitely. Right, guys, I'm going to give it a couple more minutes and I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate the fact that you guys have all stopped by. Anyone that's commented, I appreciate you. Keep watching my videos. I'm more than happy for you to share my name about, even if it's just a simple check him out. It all helps me get my numbers up. And obviously, if my numbers are up, my the rest of it hits there, or my numbers are going to start attracting companies to actually send me some printers to review or anything like that. But like I say, I'm not here for that. I'm here for you guys, and I enjoy it. Makes total sense. They are very great they're great for functional stuff. I think I got a new watch the other day, Samsung watch, and I was like, oh, I don't like the charger on it. It's just clonking about on the side. I literally straight on printed off a Samsung Galaxy charger holder, and now I've got that hooked up on the wall. For functional printing nowadays, I think everybody can pretty much sort out their own stuff. It's brilliant. Thingiverse is great. I'm a Patreon for Cinder Wing 3D, and who else? It's dropped off my mind now. Yeah, I've got a few Patreons that I use. I use them to sell stuff, and they're great. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up now. I think next time I won't just come out to the printing studio and whack the live on. This was totally unplanned, so very raw, very unscripted, which are sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. It can come across live that I'm rambling and I don't really know what to talk about. And there might have been some repeating, so I apologize for anyone that, it's like a broken record here. I am sometimes featured in some lives with Under the Hot End. Like I said earlier on in the stream, go check them out on Facebook, Under the Hot End. They are a great bunch of lads, always sharing great deals. Right now they're sharing deals on resins and some filaments. I believe they are everyone and some others like Oof, they've got some great resins out. The dual color resin, I've been reviewing that on my channel. That stuff is absolutely beautiful. Definitely check that out. Yeah, so I am going to wrap it up now. I hope everyone has a great rest of the weekend, and hope to see you all soon on my next video and live. Take care. 3DB UK.